Welcome to the Budget Transfer and Budget Adjustment training video. In this video, we will cover how to perform the following tasks: creating, printing, deleting budget transfers and budget adjustments, as well as inquiring on the approval status and history of submitted budget transactions. When using the Budget Transfer panel to transfer funds between accounts, they must have the same fund and resource combination. The total transaction must net $0. Account net balance is not allowed to go negative, regardless if the account allows overdraft or not, and you cannot create transfers for object codes in the 5700s, 7000s, and 8000s. In contrast, budget adjustments do not have any restrictions for accounts, amounts, increases, decreases, or objects that can be used. The Budget Transfer panel and Budget Adjustment panel are identical in look and function, with the exception of account restrictions previously mentioned. In this video, we will demonstrate how to create a budget transfer. As we walk through the process, we will point out any major differences between the Budget Transfer and Budget Adjustment panels. When using the Budget Transfer panel, non-GPM accounts only allow transfers between the same fund, resource, and grant year combination. However, for GPM accounts, you can transfer funds between different grant years so long as they have the same fund and resource combination. To create a budget transfer, use the following navigation: Go, Process Financial Information, Prepare Controlled Budgets. Then click Use, Budget Transfer, Add. If you were to create a budget adjustment, choose Use Budget Adjustment, Add instead. The business unit will default to 10199 and leave the budget ID as next. The system will automatically generate the budget ID once the transfer is saved. The entry date defaults to today's date, but can be changed prior to saving the transfer. During year end, you may need to backdate the transfer to the prior fiscal year. This is easily done by choosing a date from the prior fiscal year, such as June 30th. After selecting the date and tabbing out, the fiscal year will change accordingly. Also, please note that you can only choose a budget period that is open. The fund and resource fields are required in order to select accounts. You can type in the fund and resource fields, or you can choose them from the drop-down list. For this example, we will use Fund 01.3 and Resource 06093.0. You can fill in additional chart fields as needed to narrow your search criteria. Let's narrow our search to objects starting with 4 by using 4 in wildcard, or the percentage sign in the object field, and 0037 wildcard to search for all locations starting with 37. Once you have entered your criteria, it's a good time to enter a brief description before continuing. The description is required for all budget transfers and is limited to 30 characters. For longer, more detailed descriptions, please use the Comments tab. Once the description has been entered, click on the Select Budget button to retrieve the list of accounts that meet your criteria. Only accounts that exist in PeopleSoft are listed in this window. If you require a new account, it will have to be added to the system first. It is recommended to select all accounts that will be involved in the transfer from this list by checking the Select box next to each of the accounts before clicking OK. By doing this, you can avoid having to go back to this window multiple times to add additional accounts. Once you have selected all the accounts that you will make transfers to and from, click the OK button. The accounts you selected will be displayed in the lower half of the Budget Transfer panel, where you can specify transfer amounts. The system will not allow you to transfer out more than the available balance. An error message will appear, and you will not be able to continue until the error has been corrected. When using the Budget Adjustment panel, there are no limitations to an account's ending balance, so accounts can go negative regardless of the account's overdraft status. You can always add or delete the accounts in the list prior to sending for approval. To add another account, you can edit your criteria with the exception of the fund and resource, or simply click on the Select Budget button to retrieve the previous list of accounts to choose from. The Budget Transfer panel will not allow you to change the fund and resource, with the exception of changing GPM account grant years, unless you delete all accounts on the lower portion of the panel. The Budget Adjustment panel does not have this restriction and allows you to change fund and resource to search and add another account. To delete an account, click on any cell on the row you wish to delete and press the F8 key on your keyboard, or click the Delete Row icon. A running total of your transfer is calculated at the bottom of the panel. Account balance summary information can be accessed by selecting the magnifying glass adjacent to the balance amount on each line. The top 3 items listed deal with budget balance, and the next 3 items are general ledger expenditure totals pulled from the Site Budget Inquiry panel. Current budget is the account balance including any fully approved and posted budget journals as shown on the Site Budget Inquiry. Pending budget journal amounts are all approved budget journals waiting to be posted in PeopleSoft. Pending BA/BT amounts includes the current transaction and any other budget transactions that have been created and are still in initial status or are pending final approval. It is important to note that any budget transactions that have been created will affect the available balance for use when creating other budget transfers or adjustments. Pre-encumbered, encumbered, and expenditure amounts are pulled from the Site Budget Inquiry and reflect expenditure actuals such as requisitions, purchase orders, vouchers, and salaries. The balance shown at the bottom is the effective account balance after totaling all of the above amounts. Please note, the balance reflected here is different than what is found on the Site Budget Inquiry, as pending budget journals and pending BA/BTs do not affect the budget on the Site Budget Inquiry until they are fully processed. You may save the transfer at any time. However, you will not be able to send the transfer for approval until the difference on the bottom of the panel is equal to 0. Since budget adjustments allow for positive, negative, and 0 net adjustments, there is no such limitation on the budget adjustment panel prior to saving. Once saved, the system will automatically assign a budget ID number to your budget transfer that we recommend noting to assist you with finding this transfer again. Budget transfers and budget adjustments both share the same budget ID list, and the system uses the next available ID to assign it to your transaction. To delete a transfer must have the status of initial, and then you simply click on the trash can icon to delete it. A warning message will pop up asking you if you want to continue. Click yes, and the transfer will be deleted. If needed, you can print the transfer by clicking on the print icon. After you have completed the transfer, you can send it for approval by clicking on the Send for Approval icon. A message will appear asking you if you are sure you want to send for approval. Click Yes to send or No to go back to the transfer panel. Once sent for approval, you will no longer be able to make changes to the budget transfer unless it is declined or you perform a workflow reset, which we will cover shortly. To view the status and workflow approval history of a budget transfer or budget adjustment, use the following navigation: Go, Process Financial Information, Prepare Controlled Budgets. Then click Inquire, Budget Adjust Transfer Inquiry, Budget Inquiry. You have many ways of searching for a budget transfer or budget adjustment, such as using the budget ID, date, status, chart fields, initiator, or document type, which is used to filter for either budget adjustments or budget transfers. After entering your search criteria, click on the Search button. Once you have found the budget transfer or budget adjustment you're looking for, highlight it and click the OK button. Select the Approval History tab to view the approval history of the transfer. If needed, You can perform a workflow reset by clicking the WF Reset button and resetting the status back to initial, which will let you edit and resubmit for approval or delete the transfer if desired. This button is only available before a budget transfer or budget adjustment is fully approved. Once a budget transfer or budget adjustment is fully approved, a journal ID is assigned and the system will immediately post the transaction to the general ledger. The Accounting and Budget Development Budgets Unit has been given the authority to add additional transactions by way of technical adjustments after the highest level of approval has been given. Technical adjustments will appear as separate line items on the inquiry screen and will list the budget approver who added the technical adjustment. Internal System Support has a wealth of online self-help resources available on the LACOE employee website, MyLACOE, found at www.lacoe.edu/myLACOE. There you can find additional training videos, in-class instruction signups, and user manuals. After exploring our online support options, if you are still in need of assistance, please feel free to contact Internal System Support by emailing iss@lacoe.edu.